Hi, I hope you're all well. Today we've got London Forms joining us, who is she's personal brands, image and style, and she's going to be talking to us about how we can improve our LinkedIn and brand it. So over to you, London.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on this live. I've got a presentation so I can actually talk you through how you can actually utilize your LinkedIn, and hopefully, you guys will start seeing growth around this. I am just trying to bring up the menu bar. Okay. I need to share. Can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Yeah.
You can see the presentation, right? Not me. Right? You guys can see the presentation.
Yeah, we
We
can see the
can.
presentation.
Perfect. Okay, so today, as I said, I'm going to be talking about, how to actually master your profile. I get a lot of business through LinkedIn more than I do other platforms. And my growth has actually happened in the last year. So I think I've got about 12, maybe 13,000 followers. And that's by being active in the last, I would say about 9 months, right? Prior to that, I never really looked at the platform to be honest, in terms of what I could do with it, and how I can use it to my advantage. To give you a bit of background in terms of what it is that I actually do is I'm a consultant in image branding and fashion. So I usually work with people in terms of how they can actually grow their personal brands. So personal branding is not just for someone who runs their business. It's also equally important, even if you are in a 9-to-5 settings. And there are ways, despite your job, that you can actually use personal brand to your advantage. So my goal, one of my biggest goals, is to empower each individual to take control of
Tamara.
Hello. I think I heard someone speak. If it's okay for people to ask questions at the end, I'd really appreciate that. So in terms, just to go back to what I was saying, one of my biggest goals is to empower anyone to take control of, their professional image as well as reputation, and find ways to which they can differentiate themselves, right? There's a thing called a stacked skill set, which can allow you to be able to differentiate yourself from other people as well. And then, while you're doing that, is to also achieve whatever your personal and professional goals are in the most simplified and enjoyable manner. Everything I do is very simple, it's very straightforward, and it's easy to apply. You can even apply it straight after this meeting. So, but before that, just a digital reality check, in terms of how people usually use social platforms. This includes LinkedIn as well, right? Predominantly, it was seen as a job board, but there's much more to that people actually use it to leverage their personal brands and also get business opportunities. Just to clarify, personal brand is more about your reputation, right? How you come across and how people perceive you. It's not necessarily your business, but your business can tie in to helping you grow your personal brand can help you grow your business as well. Great examples of that is, if we look, let's say, at Rihanna has managed to take, her music career and then also, amplify who she is by create other business opportunities with Fenty Beauty and even with Savage Fenty. The same can be said for Victoria Beckham. As much as she came from, let's say, the music world initially, she was well known, which is her personal aspect, right? Well known for the way in which she dressed. Then she was able to then use that to create the Victoria Beckham brand. I hope that makes sense in terms of how you can leverage the personal aspect with the business to amplify and to grow a specific brand. You can do that with your careers as well, in terms of, helping your personal brand to be able to move you from one stage to another stage. However, with the same habits and with no change, it's very hard to create growth, right? And I think this is the fundamental way I see people doing the exact same thing, whether it's somebody might tell you to post every day. I'll never tell you to do that. If you want to, you can, but what are you posting, right? What is the meaning and the value of what you're posting, and how does that align with your core beliefs, with your personal brand, right? Or with who you are, right? That value system. So the aspect of really like, taking into consideration, right, the quality aspect in comparison to the quantity of how you are coming across, right? Quick win that you can also do,
London, to
right?
interrupt, we can't see the presentation. It just says click to exit full screen.
Oh, can you see it now?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
so I might have to do it this way because I don't think, so I think I was on this slide. I might have to do it this way. Yeah, so just what I was saying, like with the same habits where people might be constantly posting every single day, and then you're only getting 2 clicks or maybe 1 like or 0 comments and so forth and things like that. That should be an indicator of you should change something, because I believe everybody has value. Everybody has the ability to be able to influence, right? It doesn't have to be on a grand scale, but we can all influence and we can all add value to each other, right? It's just like how you are then positioning yourself to be able to showcase what you do, as an office manager. What exactly, what are some of the things that you learn, right, within your setting that you can actually use and perhaps talk about that align obviously to the company that you're working for. So you've also got to do the research on the company to make sure that, perhaps if somebody from the company comes and looks at your profile, they can actually see that, there's an alignment between the two. This is in relation to LinkedIn, obviously, because it's a much more open space unless your profile is hidden or it's private, for people to be able to search and to find you. So in terms of like, so why does LinkedIn matter in branding, right? Why should I have a LinkedIn profile, right? There's always that art to crafting a pitch perfect profile. And I'm going to touch on 2 points, but there's way more to this. And as I go through the presentation, you guys will, you'll get more of that. The first aspect is that professional visibility, right? If your LinkedIn profile is like well curated, right, it can enhance that visibility and credibility. And I'll show you examples using my own profile as well. And it's also like it can make a good, strong impression, right? Especially, to prospecting employers, clients, people that you might want to collaborate with, or industry peers. So always look at that aspect of visibility as well, right? Especially, for example, if you guys do a Google search on someone, usually one of the first profiles that comes up is LinkedIn, right? And then the second part is obviously that networking opportunity. It can give you that opportunity to be able to connect with professionals across different industries and even countries, markets as well. So utilize that ability to be able to expand your audience pool and also even your network. And be open to this is what I see sometimes when people narrow themselves and say, okay, I'm only going to connect with office managers, or I'm only going to connect with, other entrepreneurs. You can learn so much even from people that are in a completely different bucket to perhaps your 9 to 5 setting, or even people that run their own business, right? Maybe they can learn in terms of, okay, as an office manager, what are some of the key components in terms of just, how do I run a specific office, right? What is involved in doing that? Some people might not know. So you can be an extension and help for someone, and you can even use that to be able to build your own portfolio of things that you're passionate about as well, within an office setting or within whatever area you specialize in. And the reason why I say this is because you are your greatest asset. Leverage that, right? A lot of people think, I've got to focus on the business brand, but people buy into people more than they buy into brands. I always like to use, if I take, let's say on the social platforms, when the platforms are down, people are looking for someone to say, this is down, your technology needs to improve, right? They always at someone, right? As much as you might say like at whatever the business is, but it's always easier for someone to find someone to create that relatability. So leverage that aspect of who you are. That is your greatest asset. When you go into meetings, it's not, yes, you are part of the business, but it's you that's opening your mouth and that's talking, right? When you're posting on LinkedIn, it is you, right? It is not the business aspect. Yes, it can be connected to that, but again, it is you, right? So leverage who you are. That is your greatest asset. The growth and everything comes from that. So how can you actually amplify and create that picture perfect profile? So one of my favorite things to do is the profile picture, right? I change my profile picture every single month. And the reason I do this, I found it's a great way to start conversations, especially if you don't know where to start. People usually DM me and ask me, "Oh wow, I saw your profile. I really like your profile picture. Do you do this?" Right? And for anyone that's asking, most of it is non-sexual, but it's just basically, that aspect of, me being able to play around with my visuals and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And also because I have that fashion anchor to what I do, I can get away with it. Right. This might not be for everyone, but because, I'm always talking about clothes, that visual branding, the way you come across, that aspect of, imagery and playing around with different outfits in a still image works for me, right? And obviously, like, creating a compelling headline, I change mine quite frequently. Just because I had something, a year ago, it doesn't mean, that it doesn't mean like it's relevant now. I'll adjust it, right? So for example, one of the things that people like is, that ability for me to be able to make them feel and look good. So I was like, what, I'm going to change my headline to be able to incorporate that. And then making the most of like your featured section. This can be, so for example, if you've won an award, if you've had the opportunity to speak somewhere, to collaborate, you can add this as well to demonstrate like your perspective and insights, right? And you can do this in multiple formats. On mine, I've managed to leverage the LinkedIn newsletter. So I write every 2 weeks. I write an article, and it's usually all about, your style, your branding. When I talk about style, it's not necessarily, oh, this top and this shirt goes together. It's the visual branding aspect, right? Where we talk about color, the meaning of color, right? Where we talk about cuts, silhouettes, and all of that, but in a way that promotes your visual brand. And I started this newsletter, just an example in terms of like growth. I started this newsletter, I think, in November, right? And between November and now, it's almost, at 5,000 or 4,500. People that are interested, people that are subscribed to it, right? And then also, make sure that don't be afraid to ask for recommendations. If you've joined something or you've connected with someone, yes, some people say yes or no, but always make sure that your profile is up to date. People can see, okay, this person is good at what they do, right? And then you can obviously use certain keywords to be able to increase your visibility, right? So keywords are related to what you do or what you want your profile to stand for from a branding perspective. And then the next aspect is, the aspect on your content, right? Use storytelling. I think one of the main things, and this is across any platform that you guys would use, is, sometimes we write, but, what we're writing, how is that landing to the reader, right? It's great to share our thoughts, but within those thoughts, how can I even extend it more that it stays true to who I am, but also can help or aid in some way, right? That's one way to get engagement easy, obviously. And the way you can structure this, you can start off with a question. I mean, there's obviously like clickbaity content as well. But you can start with a question, you can even add like an analogy and so forth, just to make the content a bit richer as well. So talking about profile picture, right? I always I combine so many things, right? I don't know if I can actually play this for you. I'm gonna play this for you. So basically, majority of my pictures, which is another fun fact I'm gonna add in there, especially for people that are really busy and you might be like, London, this is great, but I don't have time for this. 90% of the pictures that you guys will see on my LinkedIn, right, including that profile picture, they're all shot virtually, right? Which means that I could be in my house, get the right angle, right? And just get someone remotely to shoot through my phone, right? And this is just an example of that. So I do this inside, outside. All it is, you just need your phone. And this is the great thing about technology. For anyone that didn't know, this is very much possible. And you can work with photographers all over the world. So if you're somebody that's big on culture, or you want to expand your network, there's so many photographers worldwide. Obviously, there's an element of trust, especially if it's virtual, that is required. But equally, like all my photos, including like the one that's next to it, which is a still to the video, that's shot remotely at a women's club that I work in. So again, that's an example, and I've used this before as a profile picture. I use it in winter because it's cold, people are wearing coats. In summer, it might work on a color perspective, but on an outfit, not so much. It's too hot. That kind of thing, right? Really thinking about how that image, what story that image is telling as well, not just like your content, but what story your image is actually saying. Again, in terms of just quick wins is obviously using visuals in terms of just like also growing and attracting people, right? I'm consistent with how I change my profile picture. Again, as I said, I do it every monthly, and I shoot all the content way in advance, right? All it is just a phone, a tripod. If the lighting, let's say it's a bit gray, and then you just need a ring light, right? Just to help in terms of making sure that your images pop and they're very easy to edit, right? So, how do you actually create captivating content, right? Obviously, like with me, it's about knowing who your audience is, introducing yourself, providing value. So every time I end, I'll actually show you an example in terms of just how I end my posts. I'll show you a live one. Being consistent yet concise. You don't need to waffle on, right? You can tell your message and make sure that it lands, and then engage with others as well. Part of growing is to engage. Don't just post. It's like a relationship, right? It's not just like, okay, I post, I expect other people. No, what about those other people? Because if you're expecting them, they might be expecting the same thing from you, and no one is talking to the other person. So that aspect, and obviously like tracking your performance, and then experimenting with different formats. What I mean by that is, so for example, on Monday, I usually do like a standard static post, which is usually something motivational, but I always link it to the branding, to the visual branding from a styling perspective. And on average, Monday is usually like my best day, and there's a reason, and I'll kind of talk you through that as we go along. Because like I for so long I did static images, right? I only just started incorporating other formats recently, but on average, yes, it can be anywhere between I'd say 250 and above, right? Within the first, I'll say 48 hours, right? Because I don't post every day. I post on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then another thing is obviously like using video, right? Using video to be able to tell like a better story, right? So I've just started doing this and I enjoy it. So what I do is like I'll take a static image and then I'll turn it into a video, or I'll just go and I'll talk about, okay, here is 5 ways in which you can improve your personal brand, right? And I always like one thing that makes what I say on video different is that I always I always end with an outfit of the day. So I always anchor back to fashion, because when I first started, I used to do styling. However, when I'll do styling from a branding perspective, there was always like a connection of, okay, what's next? Okay, once you've taken those photos, what am I doing with those photos? And then, as I mentioned, the other aspect is obviously me doing the newsletter, which I do every 2 weeks. There's always like a newsletter for like the LinkedIn audience. And then another aspect is obviously doing audio events. I used to do this a lot, but it's not something that I do so much now. So again, that's just another way that you can obviously diversify your content. So, some of you are properly employed, and you might be like, oh, this is great, amazing. But what about my employer? I'm in a 9 to 5 setting, right? I would always say, as I mentioned earlier on, obviously you've got to understand what the company policies are, and obviously how your content might be coming across in relation to those specific policies. You don't have to accept everyone in your organization if you don't want to. That's obviously at your specific right. And respect being, whatever it is that you can and you can't share. Some things are confidence, so you can't always put, for example, let's say you're on a live, let's say like, for example, this might just be for, the office management group. So you might not be able to just post it everywhere, right? If they were your employer, right? Does that make sense? It might be for their own, portfolio, whatever it might be. So respecting that, and then focus on professional content. It doesn't mean that you can't add your personality to this. You can, but you can obviously relate it back to perhaps what you're currently doing. And, don't be afraid to highlight also your achievements and milestones. Usually employers like this when their employees are showing, we got a certificate in this by doing this. We, certified communication experts at this and this. This allows me to do a better job this way and this. Have you ever thought about communication? Communication can be broken down into A, B, C, D, right? Those are just like as an example. And when you engage, obviously make sure that is thoughtful, and obviously balance that personal with the professional aspect. So you can always end it with, with injecting a bit of your personality, and then obviously manage your time well. You don't need to be on the platform, 8 hours a day and so forth. And also another thing with managing your time wisely. If you are employed and your employer sees you that you might be on the platform too much, obviously that can have, if it's part of your role, fine, right? If you help in terms of community management or posting like jobs and so forth, fine. But if you're on there literally and just engaging with other people and so forth, it might reflect negatively. So just make sure you always assess in terms of how you're actually utilizing your time and how you're utilizing the platform. So, why should you focus on your personal brand even when you are employed, right? And as I said, like, regardless of whatever situation you are in, everybody should have a personal brand, right? It can help you in many ways. It can help you grow your career, right? Especially if you start putting out content that's relatable to prospecting employers that might be looking for somebody, or collaborators and so forth. Collaboration can come in different forms. It doesn't always have to be in relation to, let's say, that specific 9 to 5. It might be, maybe your post is related to one of your passion projects and you get to maybe run in a marathon because somebody saw you do that, and something that you're passionate about again. So, there is that career advancement, but it can also be linked to some of your personal goals. And it's a great way to network. I've met a lot of people on here through networking. One of the reasons why I actually got this opportunity was because of a woman that I knew Hannah, that gave me then Hannah's contact details. So again, like that aspect put me in touch with Hannah. So that aspect of being able to grow your network as well. What I mean by job security is, it's a great way. Once you have a strong personal brand, what will start happening is people start coming to you, right? So it's a great way to actually secure, right? Not necessarily the one that you're in, but the opportunities that can come with how you're positioning yourself. thought leadership, right? Everyone has value. You can put your opinion out there, right? Leadership is not necessarily, having however many years of experience. So even you putting out your thoughts, your views can actually help someone. And it's also a great way to be able to learn and to grow yourself. What are your values? What are the things that you believe in, right? How is LinkedIn helping shape your perception, your views, right? Which kind of people do you want to connect with? Which kind of people are not for you, right? What are you learning within the platform? Because there's also like courses on here that you can learn, or people put out things that perhaps can help you. And it's a great way to showcase passion projects. Like, for example, I've just started doing video because I love it, and it's just something that I'm passionate about. So it's one way that I can showcase my passion, and it's also an extension of what I do with clients as well. And obviously, like that visibility and recognition as well. So when we talk about visibility and recognition, what I mean is, so these are just some of the events that I've done, right? Visibility. So what's the ripple effect of having like a consistent brand? If you guys see, so all these events, so before, because my name is Forbes, when you type my name, it will always be like house listings of like via Forbes or something to do with the magazine. It was never like me, right? So I had to work in terms of like, putting my brand so that at least when you type London Forbes, I rank first. So the first thing that obviously ranks is my Instagram account, and then my LinkedIn, and then even images, alter tags. You should do this as well, even on LinkedIn. So when you post an image, make sure you alter tag so that Google can read what that image is about in relation to that specific text. So if somebody that's visually impaired, right, if they're going and they're looking for something, it will read out and say like, this image means this in relation to that specific text, right? So as an example, I did an event. It's this specific event that now ranks, and I literally did this creative for them. And I also posted this on on LinkedIn as well, and I'll do it across like my other social platforms. But because this specific organization, they have good SEO, right? That allowed, so when they actually put the event up, when you now search, you will be able to see like my name come up for that specific image, and then you'll be able to see that image in other places as well. So that aspect of really extending how you can use one platform to be able to expand and grow across other platforms as well. And as always, everything that I do is 100% guaranteed results. I'll always, as much as I do, the styling, with the virtual photography, which is awesome, right? My whole thing is I want to see people win. I want to empower people, and I want them to actually see results, right? Results is, you can see, okay, used to get 5 people commenting, now it's 20, now it's 30, now it's 50, and it gradually grows, right? And who are those people? What is the quality of those individuals? We go down to that level. So I look at data. I don't just say, do this. I will literally look at the data, and we'll start testing different things, different captions, different imagery, different formats to see what works. And this is just an example of someone that a client of ours that we recently onboarded about a month ago. Before, they used, in terms of impressions, the impressions were less than 100 before, right? You guys can see with this image in terms of like, so these last 3 posts, these ones that you see, the ones that where my mouse is, those are the ones that we helped this specific individual write. As you can see, people are reposting them, and so forth. So, he's getting more comments than he used to get, and he's getting more likes than he used to get, right? Here's an example, 77. So this is the one at the bottom is now. This was before. So it's kind of like doubled, right? Over, I think this was within like the first 48 hours. So obviously over time that, those numbers can go up. And we also did his banner for him. We did, his headline and everything for him. His imagery was already done by someone else, but we will source. However, his whole anchor in terms of like main primary colors is blue, infusing that essence of trust, that essence of calmness. And that's how he is as well in real life. So, we kind of like infuse, the color element as well into that. And usually most of the time when he posts, he's usually in the primary colors that represents, how he wants to come across. Color is a great way to be able to tell story as well. Yeah, so this is what we've done. This is an example of a client within, just within 1 month, that's how much impressions he's getting. Before, as I said, it used to be 100. You can even see with this, the one at the bottom is like 238, but these have all gone up since, I've been working with a specific individual in terms of, this is how you can make your content better. This is how you can tell better stories. Fun fact about this specific individual is they're actually at a C-suite level, right? So for anyone that might think, oh, I don't have an opinion, or I can't say this, or this only works, you'd be surprised. People at various levels, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? And this is something that this specific individual was not good at, but they wanted to improve, right? So we have weekly calls, set up the content. I pre-plan everything. I don't write. I give him guidance. I tell him a structure of how he should write, because he wants that authenticity in terms of his voice. Yes, with some other clients, if you want me to write for you, I can. I'll be your ghostwriter. But with most of the clients, they still want to hold on to a sense of this is who I am, right? So I just provide the structure, and then we start testing the structure. So my whole thing is, if he's doing the posting and he's doing the engagement on his own, I want to see the data and the insights, not just at a visual, what I can see from my side, but what is the impression share, right? How many people are seeing those posts, right? Has it improved? Is this specific post doing better or worse when we change the structure? So that we're able to refine and to constantly look at data to be able to tell us to make better informed decisions. So in terms of like how I actually work by Icon, I work on a consultation perspective, right? Which is just me giving you valuable insights in terms of, how you can maximize your social presence. By the way, you don't have to be on every single platform, right? If LinkedIn is your jam, it's your jam, but just make sure that the platform aligns with, where your audience is likely to be, right? If you want like a planning and development, as I said, especially for people that are busy, we do like a 5-week plan that's tailored to whatever your needs are. Whether it's, looking at your captions, your grid layout, and everything that consistency within, your storytelling, right? There's obviously the styling your personal brand. There's the virtual photography that I mentioned. There's the aspect about managing the entire community. This works mainly better for businesses where me and my team become like the community managers. And then there's also that ability for me to be able to produce assets and do like an entire makeover. Like the images that I showed you, these are all, so for example, this specific one, I created this of this. So this is a still image. I just took this still so that it's within brand. I did the same thing for this specific live as well. And for any collaboration I do it just to change and to switch up as well in terms of how we're promoting and putting something to market and seeing whether or not it works. And it's sometimes, it's eye-catching, it grabs a wider audience, and then I play to that. So yeah, that was simple ways to grow and to do better. And hopefully you guys can utilize your LinkedIn accounts to your best of your ability going forward. I just have, I don't know if I can show it. I don't think I can show it. If I can show it, I'll show it as you guys ask me any questions. So does anyone have any questions? How do I come out of closing this window? And by the way, before I close the window, for anyone that wants to connect with me, you can scan this QR code and it takes you directly to my LinkedIn.
I'll also share her LinkedIn details when I message you tomorrow.
So any questions, guys? Can I come out of this? Do I exit?
Yeah, if you just exit the share screen, it just stops sharing. There we go.
Okay. Any questions, guys?
So there's one in the chat. It says, "Can you suggest application for a video or photo editing?"
Ooh, you can use Adobe, but I use different formats. I mean, like if I'm posting something, let's say on on like Instagram, I might use like CapCut. I might use iMovie. It varies. Adobe, like there's different platforms that you can use in terms of just like editing and getting great visuals. But my main thing is like, what story do you want that visual to tell? And also like thinking about the music, obviously royalty free music, there's different places where you can get that as well, because the music just helps amplify the creative and make it sound richer and better. So I always have to think about that as well. And for example, let's say within your brand, you've got to think about, okay, the colors, right? What color palette do I want to choose? And does that align? So you might be able to source that in different places. Any other questions, guys? No.
So you're looking.
So somebody asked, do I have to go very professional with photos? Not at all. Like this is the one thing I don't think you should be like, I don't think is that who you are? Like that's like the easiest way from you. Are you the person like this? Are you the person like that? Right? Obviously, you know, it's the balance between the two, but you don't always have to be like, okay, white background, where are you? Right? You can make it work for you, right? It doesn't have to just be like because everyone does it that way. I mean, look at mine. As I said, mine is slightly different, but I used to do that when I first started, and my engagement wasn't great because the pictures were so cold, right? You can literally like, okay, she went and she paid someone to go and stand in this position like this. And then when I speak, it's just like, oh, there's a disconnect. Does that make sense? So now I literally just post. I always try and make sure that the background is not too busy, too distracting. So obviously making sure you get the color gradient correct and using that to your advantage, right? So for example, if I have, let's say I have this and then I have pens and then I have something else. So let's just say if this is the picture, right? That's distracting, right? So things like that. You can make the environment work for you, but just be mindful because we want the focus of the gaze to be you, right? You can use color as a great way to be able to project and stretch your brand, right? If you guys ever read Color Theory, color is a great way to be able to, again, even communicate as well or position yourself. Brands do it, right? You guys all work or you run your own businesses. You think about the color, you think about the font, you think about all those things, right? Because they're an extension in terms of, you know, connecting with other people, right? Google, if you look at their logo, right, their brand, right, it's open. I think it's Open Sans. It's friendly and it's an open. It's friendly and open. Basically, the font that they use, right? That's how they want to be perceived, right? If you see a lot of banks, they use the color blue. Why? Trust, right? All of that. Brands do it. You can do it as well. Were there any other questions? Guys, feel free to ask away. I will answer any question. We still have some time, so. Emma, Tia, Shireen, Veronica, do you guys have any questions?
No, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Sorry, I've
You're
got
welcome.
twins
No,
in the
that's fine.
background.
Or maybe does anyone want to share like how they're going to go and improve their profile? what changes are they going to make? Or does anyone want me to look at their profile now? I can look at one person's profile. Shireen, okay, let's see. So guys, I'm gonna go to Shireen's profile. Your name is quite, there's, okay, do you want to give me your LinkedIn? I think your profile might be hidden. I can't, it's not coming up for me. Does anybody else want to share their profile instead? Veronica, okay, I'm gonna try Veronica's. Is it, what's your surname, Veronica? Is it Yakubov? Oh, no, sorry, I found it. Yakusheva, is that correct? I think that's correct. Did I get, yeah, okay. Okay, so. Okay, reposting. Let's start there. I hope you don't mind. I'm just gonna, put it out there. I'm not here to criticize anyone. So I hope you're okay with this. And it's also like learning for anyone, right? First of all, the banner that you have, is that the company you work for? I presume. Remember, it's your profile. Make it about you.
Yes, that's correct. That's the company that I work for.
Yeah, make it about you. I would make that about you. I'll change the banner to be about you, like what you stand for. It can be something simple, within admin, what are some of your core values, right? Or just in general, what are some of your core values? I would make that about you. I'll change the banner to make it about you. And then I would say you can spin your headline. This is one of the best things about LinkedIn, guys. People come up with the most amazing job titles I've ever seen in my entire life. Use it. Use that to your advantage. Admin assistant, but what makes you wow? What makes you spark? Right? Stretch that out. You've got way more characters to play with. Use that to your advantage. With the posting, let me see. So when you repost something, if you want to get better engagement, and this is for anyone, right? Add your opinion, right? Because I want to know, the reader, right? The person that's scrolling and seeing your profile, I want to know, right? What you think about that specific event. Why are you excited about it? Right? Or if somebody's celebrating International Women's Day, how did that impact you, that kind of thing, right? So the second post that you have, where you actually talk about International Women's Day and so forth, you see the engagement on that, right? You can amplify it even more. With the repost, always add your opinion, because if you have too many reposts, just, there's some people whose profiles are just repost. I'm like, okay, so I might as well just go and follow that other person instead of you, because I don't know what value you're adding to why you're reposting it. And before, I know some people we like to shower other people to see other people grow. That's great, but grow yourself first. And then recommendations, ask for recommendations, because some employers, right, actually look at recommendations as well. So always add that. With the skills, ask people to endorse specific skills, right? You can use that to your advantage. And then you can slowly start to build the pipeline of people that you are connected with, because a more credible profile has more connections to it. Okay. This is just looking at surface value, and obviously like the frequency of how you post. There's different ways in terms of, I know sometimes people repost because you know, they might not have time and so forth and things like that. But even if, you know, you can commit to one post a week, do that. But just be consistent about it.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. Yeah. Personal brand, you, and you, and you. I can say that. If I could sing, I would definitely sing it. It's about you, but you can strategically position yourself to still be in association with the brand that you work for or with the business that you run. You can leverage it. But the profile is yours. Any other questions, guys? Does anybody else have, you know, we've got another 5 minutes. Thank you. You know, maybe I can show you my profile. And I can actually show you what works and what doesn't work. Actually, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'll show you my profile, guys. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Is there a way for me to share or view?
You can share your screen.
Yeah, I can't see the options at the bottom. For some reason, let me see. Oh, perfect. Wait, I can share screen. Okay. Can you guys see my IG now? Sorry, my LinkedIn. Can you guys see it?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys can see, okay, you can even see my stats in terms of how many people see. So yes, my banner, this changes frequently. But let's go into the content, because this is what's interesting. Because there's different types of content and it works differently. So as I said, Monday posts are usually great. So this is the Monday post I did 2 days ago. Wednesday is a blog, right? Right. And so far it's okay. I posted this 2 hours ago, 72. It's quite good. On average, when I do a blog or I co-write for someone else, right, or somebody asks me to write on their website, my engagement isn't the best on blogs, right? And that's the honest truth. It's also because I think it's something new that I've started. So I think it also takes time for people to get used to it, right? So you've got to train the brains of wherever it is that's engaging with what I'm writing or what I'm talking about in a different format, because I've always done like, you know, still images for however long. And I changed that, you know, in November is when I introduced, towards the end of November is when I introduced newsletters, but I became more consistent towards, you know, doing those newsletters at the beginning of this year. And then also, so this is the actual video for this specific event that I'm doing right now. So yeah, again, rather than me putting just a still image or a specific logo, I like, and it's a great way for me to also learn in terms of what my capabilities are and what it is that I can offer to clients. And then another thing, so whenever I sign off, right? Because, you know, sometimes if somebody else is like, you know, liking my post, it'll appear on their feed and their connections that I'm not connected with. I always end with, you know, if you're new here, blah, blah, blah. I specialize in, you know, helping people perfect their style, their brand, whether it's in person or online, right? I always do an intro at the end, right? And if there's any relevant links, I make sure that I link to it. I also link like my specific, you know, business page. And if, for example, the post is in collaboration with, I always link the collaboration of that specific company. If it's an individual, I'll ask their permission. Usually I don't tag or other people. I rarely ever do that. I usually just focus on the business aspect. And then now I can get like, oh, exciting to see blah, blah, blah. How I approach personal branding, as I said, coming from a styling, when people just talk about the visual. And now I'm telling you to look at data, trying to connect those two. And also what makes this also interesting is it gives me insights in terms of what do people like, right? What can I stretch, right? What kind of ideas can I come up with? So if I'm lost, if I'm really, really lost, I literally read some of my comments. I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about this because, you know, 5 people have asked me this in the last 3 or 4 posts. So this can be a good idea for me to talk about it. In terms of hashtags, I keep it very minimal, usually between 3 to 5 maximum, nothing above that. Yeah, again, this is something new that I've just started doing. So it takes a bit of time to build up the audience pool where people are just used to me talking static. And I'll give you an example, right? In terms of how you can stretch your content. Let me see. We look at posts. Right. Let's see. Okay, let's look at this specific, right? So as I said, like on Monday, it's usually inspirational, it's usually motivational. If you want to know like my aspect of, you know, branding is, you know, I can take, let's say, a quote from somebody, you know, famous, and I can make it my own, right? Ever notice how somebody can exude confidence without saying a word? It's the calm before the storm, a silent force that commands attention, right? As the week starts, as we start the week, let's embody that quiet power within us, and people just come and they're like, yeah, yes, you know, people will just, you know, 8 people reposted this, 48 people commented, and 388 people liked this, which is not bad for the size of my specific account. Or where I show my personal brand, I think, let me look for another post that I did, just making sure we still have a bit of time. So again, all these photos that you guys are seeing me show, this is an event that I did. All these ones that I'm seeing, you guys are seeing, they're all they're all done virtually. Again, Maya Angelou, mission in life, blah blah blah, and then I, you know, embrace that passion, guide that journey, and then I link it back to personal brand. So always stretch everything, right? Don't think just in one lane, like I am an office manager, we're only going to talk about this, but what other things can you still connect to what you do? Because trust me, if you take the time and you sit down, there's so many things that actually can be connected with what you do. You know, even for example, you know, some of you guys are mothers, right? Can you talk about how being a mother, juggling that, and, you know, having to go to the office or work from home, how does that, you know, interrupt your day? Or how is it actually beneficial for you? It will connect with someone else, another mother that, you know, like, you know, I thank God someone spoke about this. And you never know, that could help build your community as well. So, I think that was it. We are at time. We've got 4 minutes left. But yeah. And for anyone that has questions, you can drop me a message on LinkedIn. You can send me an email. If I can help, I'll try my best.
Thank you so much. That was really insightful. I'll be sending this out in a video tomorrow. I'll have all your details on there for them so they can get in touch from there.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. And thank you so much for taking the time during your lunch to talk to me.
Thank you.
so
Thanks,
much,
everyone.
So good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a lovely day, guys.
Bye.